Well, the Eagles certainly were not expecting this, as after their embarrassing loss to the Giants, a ton of rumors have begun to swirl, starting with a new report saying that an anonymous GM thinks A.J. Brown could be traded soon. Plus, with the patience for Kevin Patullo wearing thinner, the idea of a Doug Pederson return to Philadelphia has been floating around, especially after some recent comments from the Super Bowl champion head coach himself. Meanwhile, Vic Fangio's defense has a huge problem that has flown under the radar, while Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have been under fire in recent days. So let's talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. So we're just a couple days removed from that awful Eagles loss to the Giants on Thursday night, and the vibes around the city of Philadelphia aren't exactly super high right now, because not only did the Phillies get eliminated from the playoffs that very same night, while the Flyers lost their season opener, but after that game, people just aren't exactly too high on the defending Super Bowl champs right now. I mean, everywhere I look, people are freaking out, whether it's making comparisons to the 2023 team, to some people calling for the Eagles to fire not just Kevin Patullo, but also Nick Sirianni, which, by the way, that's just insane. I mean, I get the criticism, and I agree with a lot of it. I mean, this is now the second year in the last 3 seasons where Nick has hired an offensive coordinator from in-house, and it looks like trash. And we know from experience that Sirianni's offensive schemes are not very good, so he kind of needs at least a serviceable coordinator and play caller. And also, when you look at this loss just by itself, it's clear that Nick didn't do a good enough job just getting this team ready to play. I mean, they got punked by this young Giants team on a short week, and the Birds looked unprepared in pretty much every facet. So, again, this loss very much falls partially on Sirianni's shoulders. That said, I mean, the guy won the Super Bowl last year, and we know that typically, when it comes to being a leader and building up a winning culture, Sirianni is one of the best at that. I mean, we've seen it multiple times now, so no, I do not think he deserves to be or should be fired after a couple bad games. Like, that's just ridiculous, guys. We've got to be less reactionary than that as a fan base. And in a similar way, I think the Jalen Hurts criticism has also been absolutely ridiculous as well. I mean, did he play his best game against the Giants? No. In fact, I think he was also a big reason why the Eagles lost that game because of a couple of the key mistakes that he made, but we got people out here in the media or on social media, whether it's fans of other teams or even fans of the Eagles that just don't like Jalen Hurts, that have just been waiting, just sitting there waiting for Hurts to mess up and have a bad game so that they can push this narrative that they've been wanting to push. I mean, the guy had one bad game, and we're right back to people saying that he can't throw, or he can't read a defense, or that he's just not a good quarterback in general, and that he's somehow holding this team back.
It is more on Hurts than any other player. He is extremely limited in certain areas.
I think he's a bottom 10 quarterback. I don't think there's any way around that. If you said like bottom 7, bottom 8, I wouldn't really even argue it.
Mind you guys, this is the reigning Super Bowl MVP who's already gone to multiple Super Bowls at just 27 years old. He's been in MVP discussions before. We've seen him have elite passing numbers before. We've seen him show up on the biggest stage. And yet, there's still these people out here acting like he's a bum, and he still hasn't proven enough to be considered a good NFL quarterback. I mean, I think he's earned more than that. Like James Nagle said it here, not every game is career defining. Like, if we're just going to go off games against the Giants this year, Justin Herbert was far worse. I mean, does that make him a bottom 10 quarterback or not a good quarterback? No, it doesn't. Like, it is just honestly crazy. But you know what? Let the Hurts haters have their fun because they haven't been able to have any the past year. And you know Jalen himself also isn't listening to any of the noise. And in fact, he actually recently made an appearance at the opening of the Jordan store in Philly, and he knows he's built for this city.
I love Philly, first and foremost. I love Philly. I love Philly, and I love the passion that the city has. And I think it's very simple. You know, you go into it and you give it everything that you have, and it's about that desire. We got a lot of hard-working people in this city.
Absolutely.
A lot of hard-working people in this city. A lot of people that go out there and go get it. They go earn everything that comes their way. And so when I look at my career, God chose me for this city. God chose me for this city.
Moving on though, another guy who there's been a lot of buzz about after the Giants game and really all season long is A.J. Brown. As of course, it's been well documented that A.J. had been frustrated with the Eagles offense and specifically the passing game and how he was being used. And you know, things have changed the past couple of weeks as he's been getting the ball a little bit more and he's been a lot more heavily involved in the offense. But now the Eagles are losing, so it hasn't exactly translated to the Eagles' success, and naturally, the noise about A.J. Brown being frustrated is still there. And now, as a result of that, We have an actual report from the Athletic's Diana Russini saying that an anonymous AFC GM does actually think Brown is eventually going to be traded. As he said, quote, "Brown doesn't look frustrated or mad, he looks indifferent, and that's not a good place to be. I think Howie Roseman moves him. It would have to be for the right player or pick, but a trade wouldn't surprise me. Howie likes deals, especially if a player's value overrides how Brown is being used." So, on one hand, it's certainly very interesting that an actual GM in the AFC is saying this, but still, this is just purely speculation. Like, there's other reports out there saying that Howie Roseman has continuously shut down any notion that the Eagles are open to trading A.J. Brown, and also, I feel like I shouldn't even have to say this at this point, but A.J. is under contract in Philadelphia through the 2029 season, and if a trade were to happen, say this year, or even in the next couple years, the Eagles would have to eat an absolutely insane amount of dead money. So, people can say what they want, but A.J. Brown is not going anywhere anytime soon. And heck, he literally just said this about Philly not even 2 weeks ago.
Just to clarify, A.J., are you happy here?
Absolutely. This is home. This is my home.
Moving on, though, whether you want to talk about A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts in the passing game, or what I think is the bigger problem in the running game, there is something clearly very wrong with this Eagles offense right now. And yes, a good amount of it is on the players for just poor execution, especially by the offensive line, but I still think easily the main culprit is Kevin Patullo and the play calling, because while the offense does have stretches of being really good, they can just never sustain it because defenses catch on to what they're doing. And especially in the run game, they really haven't been able to have much success at all there this year because of how predictable it all is. And I think both Lane Johnson and Emmanuel Acho broke it down perfectly.
Yeah, we're not very efficient offensively. I think when you look at it, maybe we're too predictable. I think when you look at some of the stuff we did last year, the production isn't matching the talent.
Here's what's wrong with the Eagles' run game, fully explained. You don't got to watch anything else. If you remember nothing else, remember this. The Eagles run the ball on 2 downs, 1 distance, and out of 2 formations. It's 1st and 10. They run the ball on 1st down and 2nd down. That's the 2 downs. They run the ball on 1 distance and 10. And they run the ball out of 2 formations, 3 by 1 and pistol. I'm going to take you through all the clips. 3 by 1. 1, 2, 3. Eligible receivers on that side. That's a 3 by 1 formation. 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. Wait, Acho, it's 2 by 2. Nope. Motioning to 3 by 1. Eagles do this all the time. Is the Eagles offense predictable? 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. 3 by 1 and out of pistol. Right now, they're in pistol. 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. Here we go. We got pistol again. 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. 2 downs, remember, now it's 2nd down, 1 distance, and 10. 2 formations, motioning to 3 by 1. 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. Literally want to show y'all every play. 1st down, that's one of the 2 downs, and 10, that's the 1 distance, 2 formations, 1, 2, 3 by 1. 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. You get the gist of it by now. 1st and 10, that's one of the 2 downs, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2. You know the vibes. 1st and 10. Under center. 1, 2, 3 by 1. 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. Okay, we kind of break the trend. One of the 2 downs, at least it's a different distance, but Acho, it's 2 by 2. That breaks the trend completely. And here we have motion. 2 downs, 1 distance, motioning to 3 by 1. Eagles aren't that tricky. 2 formations. And I believe the very last run play. 1st and 10. One of the 2 downs. And 10, 1 distance, pistol. 2 downs, 1 distance, 2 formations. It's about as predictable as it gets.
There's no doubt that Kevin Patullo and the Eagles are going to have to make some changes to switch things up and get the running game and overall offense fixed. Otherwise, this season probably isn't going to end very well. And it's gotten to the point where most fans either want Patullo fired right now and to bring somebody in to replace him as the offensive coordinator, or at least to bring somebody in from the outside as an offensive consultant, and then eventually replace Patullo at the end of the season. Now, will they do either of those things? I don't know, but there have been some intriguing names that have been thrown around. I mean, for one, if they wanted to give play calling to somebody else, one candidate that could make sense in-house is quarterback coach Scot Loeffler, as he of course was hired after 6 years of being the head coach at Bowling Green, and he has a lot of play calling experience. And then there's also Parks Frazier, who is currently the passing game coordinator, and he has brief play calling experience at the NFL level. Now, I will say, I like that idea a lot less because he's somebody else that probably falls under the Nick Sirianni discipleship. And then there are also a couple of outside candidates that have been mentioned as either a replacement offensive coordinator or offensive consultant option, one of those being current Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel. And obviously he would have to be fired by the Dolphins for this to happen, but recent reports have said that his seat is growing hotter and hotter by the week, and he could be let go at some point, possibly in the middle of the season. And if that were to happen, I'd actually like to bring him in as a consultant and maybe as a potential future offensive coordinator replacement because, regardless of how things have been going in Miami and the dysfunction over there, McDaniel still is a very bright offensive mind with a ton of play calling experience, so maybe he's not the best head coach, but he could still be a good offensive coordinator or at least a consultant, and even if you are a skeptic, there's no denying that he'd be a significant upgrade over Kevin Patullo. So, I think that situation's worth monitoring. But an even more intriguing option is former Eagles Super Bowl champion head coach Doug Pederson, as he's of course currently not employed by any NFL team, and he could be an interesting option to bring in as an offensive consultant, given of course his history with the Eagles and his extensive play calling experience. Not to mention the fact that he recently told Dan Sileo of Jacob Sports that if the Eagles came to him about a role as an offensive consultant, he would definitely consider it. Now, look, I don't think this is going to happen for a multitude of reasons, whether it would be the potential dynamic between him and Nick Sirianni, or what the history looks like there with Howie Roseman, and just how things ended with him in Philadelphia. But if it was a possibility, I'd honestly be all for it. I mean, I'm not going to say that I loved Doug's offenses back when he was here, but I do definitely think they were better than what we have now with Kevin Patullo in charge. And again, he's a good coach with a lot of play calling experience. So, I know this is a weird topic, but how would you guys feel about a potential Doug Pederson return to Philadelphia? All that said though, obviously the offense wasn't the only problem on Thursday night, as the defense had possibly one of their worst performances of the Vic Fangio era so far, as they just got outmuscled and bullied by that young Giants team in every single way. And as former Eagles quarterback Ron Jaworski put it on WIP radio, it truly was embarrassing.
It may have been the worst defensive performance I've seen in a while under Vic Fangio. Really, maybe be the worst one under Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator. I missed tackles last night. The Giants converting on third down 11 out of 16 times, 3 for 3 in the red zone. I mean, a rookie quarterback with no real weapons out there. His best weapons weren't even playing, and they're able to put up 34 points last night, Joe. It's just a disappointing effort from the defense last night. Really, on all three levels of the defense, it was disappointing.
Well, missed tackles, number one. I mean, you guys were whiffing all over the place. It's just amazing. But, I'm chuckling and just saying because I'm thinking about Jackson Dart,
right?
Cam Scattaboo.
Yeah.
Who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
What? They kicked our butt. I mean, they physically. I've never seen an Eagles team get manhandled like this. This is a world championship football team. Didn't look like that. We physically got beat up.
Yeah.
On defense.
Yep.
That's where we hang. That's where we always hang our hat in Philadelphia on that defense. There's got to be some record. I know Vic Fangio is probably the most disappointing guy on the planet this morning. And his defense put out a clunker like that against. And how about you got your third and fourth string wide receivers out there?
Right.
You got guys learning how to play offense on the offensive line, and to get a handle like that, it's totally disappointing, and to me, it's disgusting.
Now look, I'm a whole lot less concerned about the Eagles defense than I am about the Eagles offense. I mean, I think they'll get that figured out and bounce back, especially once they get two of their most important players back in Jalen Carter and Quinyon Mitchell. But I will say this, I do think they actually have a pretty legitimate problem that not a lot of people are talking about. And no, it's not cornerback number 2. I mean, we know that's a problem, and I've already talked about the possibility of the Eagles adding somebody there. And rather, what I want to focus on is the defensive line, and particularly the edge rusher position. I mean, I tried to remain positive on those guys last week, but the fact of the matter is, they just have not been near productive enough through the first 6 games of this season. I mean, the leading sack guy off the edge is currently Zadarius Smith with 1.5, followed by Patrick Johnson with 1, and everyone else has 0. Mind you, Zadarius Smith wasn't even on the team in week 1, and everyone else has had moments, but overall, has just been really disappointing. And, this is a big problem because the lack of pressure or game-changing sacks just allows opposing quarterbacks to get comfortable back there and start picking this Eagles defense apart. So, it'll definitely help to get Nolan Smith back after the bye week. But the lack of pass rush from the edge rushers and overall just the entire defensive line has definitely been a big problem and one that they got to get figured out. And, maybe the Eagles could look to go out and add somebody else on the trade market or maybe as a free agent, but we'll just have to wait and see. And also, one other area that I want to mention is the return game because, I'm not going to get into all the numbers, but there's no secret that they've just been absolutely awful in that area. I mean, Tank Bigsby has been so bad. Like, the fact that we traded 2 picks for him is crazy. I mean, I was definitely wrong about that trade when it happened because it wound up being just horrible for the Eagles. And I personally think it's time that the Eagles elevate Britton Covey and use him as the primary returner and maybe put Xavier Gibson back there as well. I mean, both guys are proven returners, and I don't see why you wouldn't do that just with how bad the return game has been. But, we'll also have to wait and see on that. And you guys can give me your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think the Eagles should do at returner? Do you think they should look to bring in somebody else to, add to the defensive line or at the edge rusher position? Do you think they should bring in someone from the outside to be an offensive consultant? Just, again, give me your thoughts on anything that I talked about in this video down in the comments below. And also, while you're at it, make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications so you don't miss any more Eagles coverage coming throughout the rest of the season. And also, leave a like down below because it really does help me out a ton, guys. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes on today's video. That would be greatly appreciated. And also, hit the hype button because that helps me out a ton as well. And if you want to watch another Eagles video going over their loss to the Giants, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.